You're not tired because you're weak. You're not overwhelmed because you're disorganized. You're not inconsistent because you lack discipline. You're tired because you're holding too much. You're overwhelmed because you're responsible for more than anyone sees. And you're inconsistent because you've been building a business in the middle of real life, not in a vacuum. And if you've been wondering why your ambition feels so heavy lately, this episode is for you. Today, we're talking about something no strategy session can ever prepare you for: the invisible load, that mental, emotional, spiritual weight women carry while trying to lead, create, care, and rise all at the same time. Let's talk about what it looks like to keep showing up without breaking yourself in the process. You're listening to the From Scratch podcast, the podcast for bold entrepreneurs who are done with cookie cutter advice, done with burnout, and done with building businesses that don't actually feel good. I'm your host, Kary, a near $1 million course creator, brand strategist, and business coach for women who are ready to do it differently. 7 years ago, I hit a level of success and still ended up crying on the bathroom floor. So trust me when I say starting from scratch isn't about starting over. It's about taking your power back and rebuilding on your own terms. Every week, you'll get unfiltered stories, bold strategies, and the mindset shifts you need to build with soul, sell with strategy, and grow something that feels like you. So let's get into it. There was this day years ago where I sat in my car in the grocery store parking lot and just stared, not crying, not spiraling, just blank. I had just finished a strategy call with a client. I had a toddler in the backseat who had fallen asleep. My inbox was full. Dinner needed to happen. Laundry needed to happen. Content needed to happen. And I felt like I was holding everything together by a thread. Not because my life was bad, not because I was ungrateful, but because every single tab in my brain was open all at once. The mom tab, the wife tab, the business tab, the remember to buy diapers tab, the launch starts next week tab, the don't forget to schedule the dentist appointment tab. And in that parking lot, I realized something I had been avoiding. I wasn't tired from business. I was tired from holding a life. And that invisible load, the one I never named, never acknowledged, never even paused to examine, was shaping how I showed up as a woman and as an entrepreneur. That moment led me into the conversation we're having today and the 3 honest truths that we need to cover. Honest truth number 1, your capacity is not a character flaw. It's a strategic data point. There is an invisible mindset trap that ambitious women fall into without even realizing it. The belief that capacity is a measurement for success. That if you were better, stronger, more disciplined, more focused, more inspired, you would be able to do it all. But capacity is not a character flaw. Capacity is context. Capacity is data. It reflects the life you're living, not the potential you lack. And women, whether mothers, caregivers, partners, daughters, leaders, or simply human beings with emotional, hormonal, and spiritual weight, carry invisible layers that business books don't account for. The mental tabs you never get to close. The emotional labor you perform quietly. The logistics you manage without applause. The anticipatory thinking you do on autopilot. The constant toggling between roles, the noise your brain holds even on your rest days. None of these things make you weak. They make you human, a whole human with a layered life. And the invisible load isn't just tasks. It's the weight of being depended on. It's the pressure to maintain stability for everyone else while building a dream for yourself. It's the emotional tax of constantly recalibrating around other people's needs. And that load directly affects how you build your business. Not because you're unmotivated, but because your brain is already performing at full capacity before you ever sit down to create. You need to stop believing that you would be more successful if you had more discipline. No, you would be more supported if you had more structure. You would be more regulated if you had more space. You would be more consistent if you had systems that didn't require your constant presence. Ambition doesn't require pretending your life is easier than it is. Ambition requires building a business that honors the complexity of your life. When I relaunched my business, I stopped forcing myself into a version of entrepreneurship that ignored my reality. I started building around my actual capacity, not the imaginary perfect week I used to guilt myself with. I simplified my content rhythm. I created systems that kept nurturing happening when I wasn't at 100%. I set expectations based on my humanity, not my hustle. And as soon as I stopped resenting my capacity and started designing for it, my business finally felt like mine again. So here's your move. move. Ask yourself, where have I been punishing myself for having limits instead of building a business that honors them? This shift is where healing begins. Honest truth number 2, you don't need to work more. You need a simpler strategy. Here's one of the quietest reasons women burn out. We confuse effort with effectiveness. We believe more equals better. More posting, more offers, more ideas, more launches, more doing. But when you're carrying an invisible load, more becomes a doorway to self-abandonment because you don't just sacrifice time, you sacrifice nervous system peace. You sacrifice clarity. You sacrifice presence. You sacrifice the joy and creativity that made you want to build a business in the first place. Working harder does not compensate for strategic confusion, and doing everything does not mean everything is working. Simple strategies do not reflect smaller dreams. They reflect smarter stewardship of your energy. When your strategy is simple, your brain feels safer. Your nervous system relaxes. You stop context switching. You avoid emotional whiplash. You build momentum faster. You reduce decision fatigue, and you eliminate identity snapback where you regress under stress. A simpler strategy isn't just easier, it's more sustainable. And sustainability is what creates true success. You need to stop believing that if you want to grow, you need to add more. No, if you want to grow, you need to focus. Make your strategy smaller so your results can be bigger. Ambition that consumes you is not ambition, it's pressure. Ambition that sustains you is alignment. This year, I intentionally simplified my business more than ever before. I trimmed the noise, the unnecessary options, the half-built ideas, the maybe one-day projects. And do you know what happened? More consistent sales, more stability, more creativity, more energy, more joy. My business didn't shrink when I simplified. It expanded. So here's your move. Ask yourself, if I stopped trying to do the most, what would I do next? Often that is the business you've been wanting to run all along. Honest truth number 3, your business should support you, not the other way around. Here's something women rarely hear. You were never meant to be the backbone of everything. Not in your home, not in your friendships, not in your family, and definitely not in your business. But so many women end up building businesses where every function depends on their energy, every sale, every post, every nurture touch point, every launch, every idea. That is not entrepreneurship. That is emotional and operational captivity. Stop telling yourself, I can handle it. Maybe you can, but should you? Should your business require you to be at maximum capacity to function? Should your dreams be dependent on how rested you are this week? Should your revenue rely on whether or not you had a breakdown in the middle of the shower? Absolutely not. Systems aren't a luxury, they're liberation. Systems don't dehumanize your business. They give your humanity space to breathe. Because when your life gets heavy, and it will, your business shouldn't fall apart. When my life asks more of me, emotionally, physically, spiritually, my business doesn't collapse. Because my systems were built to hold me. My funnels keep nurturing. My emails keep connecting. My content keeps posting. My sales systems keep generating revenue. My business continues to grow, not because I'm pushing, but because I have built something that catches me when I need to pause. So here's your move. Ask yourself, what part of my business collapses when I do? And what systems need to exist so that no part of my business requires absolute perfection from me? That question will change your entire business. You don't have to pretend you're not tired. You don't have to hide the weight you're carrying. And you definitely don't have to sacrifice your ambition to survive your life. You can build slowly. You can build softly. You can build sustainably. You can build with your whole humanity intact. Your invisible load doesn't make you less capable. It makes your success even more extraordinary. If this episode is speaking to the version of you who is carrying more than she ever acknowledges, and you want support building a business that fits your life instead of fighting it, I would love to work with you. Book a coaching call with me. Whether you need help with your brand, your content, your sales systems, together we can create a strategy that honors your reality, protects your energy, and still moves your business forward in a way that feels aligned, grounded, and sustainable. You don't have to carry all of this alone. You can book your call at the link below or at karyperry.com/coaching, and let's build something that holds you.